hand the floor over to Debbie, and we are good to go.
All right. For those of you that don't know, Ashley Volkens and I are from the FOCL board, hosting this meeting for you. And due to the large crowd, we like to try and time things to about 6 minutes each so that everyone can participate. And we just wanted everyone to know that FOCL is here to help or to take ideas and suggestions and disseminate them to everyone from these meetings that we've had. And we're going to have more in the future, but they're probably going to be on different topics in another few months. So our roll call is Kelly Rodino from Glastonbury, Amy, and I'm not going to say your last name because I'll mess it up.
It's Bryn Gardner.
Oh, it's just like it sounds. Thank
exactly.
you.
Bryn Gardner.
Okay, from Milford. Linda Chaperone from Farmington. Ashwini, and again, she's from New Britain. Kathy Perrell, I heard South Windsor. Denise Kaiser is from Newtown. And Joseph is from Branford. Carol is from Wallingford. And Pat is from West Haven. Welcome, everybody. All right. Is there someone that would like to go first? Kelly, you were mentioned in one of our other meetings. You were for some program you were doing. Would you like to start? I can't remember now which group that we had.
I think it was in the medium library group because of the book bags that you were doing. Lisa
Okay.
Berman sent around a summary.
Oh, okay. I didn't get
meeting
it.
earlier today.
Right.
Right.
It was a compliment, Kelly.
Oh, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Sure, I will begin.
Okay.
Very briefly, our usual year looks like 2 one-day sales, big sales, which you can see pictured behind me, and then 2 small indoor sales. And we, between those and our daily book sales, we have a book stop area within the lobby of the library. We usually bring in close to $50,000 in a year. 2020, we had no book sales. And we decided once our library reopened in August, we closed in March, reopened in August, and we decided that we would try selling book grab bags, which we set up an online sale site so people could pre-order their bags. We had them in a number of different categories for adults, and then had children's bags that people could indicate an age and a gender for the child. Bags sold for $5 a piece, and were typically 4 to 7 books, a mix of hardcover and paperbacks. We had volunteers in on a limited schedule. We were only there when the library was not open to the public, because we were open only like 4 hours a day. So we would come in the mornings 3 days a week, only 2 of us at a time, because our sorting space and working space is rather small, and fill the bag orders and put them out in the lobby of the library, and then email people to let them know that bags were available and ready to be picked up. We also did 2 pop-up shops, one on the lawn of the library, one at a local business, and actually started right about a week before the library closed again. We started putting bags out for people to be able to purchase. They were labeled with, fiction or history or whatever they were, and people could just purchase them. And we had an honor system box for people to pay. And
how did that do?
Excuse me?
How did that do? How many bags did you sell?
selling them on a day, like putting them out in the library and selling them.
Both.
Well, putting them out in the library and selling them in less than a week, we sold, I think 90 bags, I want to say. We sold a lot. And overall, I don't have a number of bags, but we made about $3,200 from August to November. So about $1,000 a month.
Fabulous.
Which was good. It would have been nice to be able to keep doing that, but we are not in the library right now. So, because we're closed, except, there's just doing curbside at this point.
How did you advertise?
Facebook, some notices up in the library because the library was open at that point. But very much social media. We have a very good person doing our social media, and she put a lot of posts up on Facebook, Instagram. We put an article put in this local paper. And trying to think if there was anything else. That was the majority of it. And our library, our Friends of the Library website, but that was where people could order from, and I think that was more for that as opposed to the advertising. So
Kelly, I have a question on the social media or Facebook. Was there any cost to that, or do you have any expense budget for that?
no, we did not do anything fancy with it. We have a Facebook page, we have an Instagram page, we put the information up on those sites, but we didn't. I guess there are ways you can pay and you can boost.
Yeah, we have some discussion now, and the numbers are eye-popping on how much we have to spend for advertising. So I personally don't think it's worth the money.
We didn't do any of that. I don't know if it would have helped, but we did not do any of that.
Okay.
Joe, may I add something? Kelly, excuse me.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, we did purchase click-throughs from Facebook. And we found that a certain portion of town has their internet service through the local cable company. The local cable company is using servers in the neighboring town. So anybody who had cable service through this provider was actually listed with Facebook as being in a neighboring town and never saw our ads. And that was a significant number of residents of Newtown. It's like a third of the town is in a spot where the cable provider is actually listed as next door. It was a waste of money.
Oh, okay, good. Thanks. That's good information.
Okay, keep that in mind. You really got to dig. There's a reason Mark Zuckerberg is as rich as he is.
Kelly, did people order online the book bags and then pay when they came in to pick them up?
They ordered online and for the most part paid on PayPal. We had a PayPal tab and they PayPal, and then we would get, I had to learn how PayPal worked, but we would get something from PayPal. We'd go into our PayPal and it would list all of the new orders, and it's actually pretty easy to use once you spend half an hour with it. And we had a couple of people who called and did not want to use PayPal, didn't have PayPal accounts or weren't comfortable with that. And they came in and we make up their bags through a phone call order, and then they would pay the librarians and they just give us cash. But for the most part, it was PayPal. The pop-up shops, we tried to do PayPal and that type of thing as well. And for the most part, people just wanted to pay us cash. So we had a box and they put exact change and we just let it sit for a couple of days before we touched it. So, yep.
Thank you. Amy, would you like to talk?
Yes, sure. At Milford Library, we did, before the pandemic, we would have 2 book sales, one in the spring which we coordinated with an event that the Garden Club was having. The Milford Public Library, the back of the Milford Public Library is tennis courts, there are ball fields, it's right near the water, there's a boat launch. And so there was a lot of things going on back there. And there was a May market by the Garden Club, and it's typically the weekend before Mother's Day, and that's under the pavilion in the back of the library. So what we did was we coordinated our book sale inside the library with that. So we had a lot of traffic from that. Our book sale was right inside our program room, very easy to move things in and out. And then we had, and the sale for both spring and fall or winter were 2 days. And we made probably $6,000 total for both of those sales. And then the library has an ongoing sale inside. The Friends have an ongoing sale inside the library, and that was also doing very well for us. So, but since the pandemic, we haven't had any book sales. We are still having the sale inside the library, but that's limited in terms of people coming in and buying books. We have no volunteers that are coming into the library. And we are also not accepting any donations because we don't have the staff to go through them, and also because of the issues with quarantining the books. So that's where we are right now. We're hoping that as things improve, we may be able to look at having a book sale of some sort. But our book sales are typically in the library.
Okay.
We have a big program room, and so people are able to come in, browse, look around. And in the past, we've also tried a couple of things where we, in addition to the book sale, we had last year, we had a separate event where we had a used jewelry sale that was very well received. And so we're thinking that when we do have a book sale, we may combine the two events, but the jewelry sale would be in a separate location.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Thank you. So you do you have access to your books currently?
yes.
So you could do some sale if you could get to them and maybe do curbside. or something.
Yes, we could. We could. The what Kelly was talking about the bags of books was an interesting idea that may be something that we could look into.
Mhm.
I would be, the thing is in terms of pulling the books for people, that's always a little tricky.
Right. What I don't know how your publicity is, but you could have them email to some email address, a wish list, and pull them that way, which is what I've been doing.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And
That's a good idea.
yes. Okay, thank you. Linda, would you like to come?
Before all of this, we did have 2 book sales a year, one in the spring that was our large book sale, and it ran for 3 days. And in the fall, we did a smaller sale of newer books suitable for gift giving at the holidays. And all year round, we do have a book nook, which did very well. We were doing between $500 to $1,000 a month. And since then, of course, we have a new director, and he is wonderful and being abundantly cautious. We did have to close our bookstore down, but when people were allowed in to make appointments, we were running book nook tables And it was, we put mostly new books out. He believed, and the OCLC standards, you know, books are safer when they're face up than, you know, on the shelves. So we had 3 tables with lots of books face up. Of course, you couldn't put too many out. And it was pay on the honor system. And that worked out really well. I'm sure a few books took flight, but there was always books. There was always money in the pay box. So that worked out well. We also, that's been closed now though, since Thanksgiving. All of that is closed down. Hopefully we're going to open on March 1st. And by then, I hope to have had both my shots. We did have a very successful 2-day outdoor sale under tents. And we have a very nice garden patio. And we made about $5,000. And that was just fiction, hardcover and paperback and children's books. And then about 2 or 3 weeks later, we did have a CD and DVD only sale. And that did okay. I mean, we did well enough, except we've determined that we will never, ever collect by donation CDs or DVDs. When the sale was over, we had 1,500 CDs left, which is a lot of CDs. I did put them, I offered them on Facebook for all of them for free. And of course, everybody in the world wanted free CDs. I did ask that they make a donation, and I did get $40 donation. Fine. Same thing with DVDs. People, I guess, are TV'd out right now, you know, with Netflix and Hulu, and nobody wants to buy DVDs. There was one, oh, I know the one thing, and I know that some of you would be disturbed by this, but I've been inviting dealers to come in, and they get 2 hours in the back room, and they can take whatever they want and pay our regular prices. And we've made about $750 on 3 swings through the back room. And so we've done that. And I personally contacted dealers that have always been the first in line at our sales. And we have also, we had some special books that we also sold to a dealer, and he came down. So we do plan to open up the tables in March, the Book Nook tables, maybe the Book Nook itself, who knows. We will have an outdoor sale in May. We are unable to use our community room right now because it's the quarantine space for books that come back in, including donations. We have our own tables. And when we were allowed to work as volunteers, we knew which books had been in quarantine. We keep our books 5 days in quarantine. Other libraries are less. But right now we couldn't even have a book sale in that space because it's got tables of returned books. So we're doing okay, not great, but I would like to maybe try the bag sale, but we can't get in at all now. No volunteers are allowed in, and we're not accepting donations. That's life in
What
Farmington.
library are you with?
Farmington.
Farmington.
So good luck to all of us.
Yes. Ashwini, why don't we?
Yeah, sure. So in New Britain, we, of course, were stuck with not having the spring sale. So we took all the kids' books we could and bagged them and distribute by, by age group, and distributed them to the schools through the school lunch program. So once we bagged the books and gave it to them, they distributed to different schools. So hopefully a lot of kids got books. And then because of that, we got a donation from 2 people in the community to buy new books to distribute to the kids. So in June, we did that, again, through the same school distribution program. But these books were all new and carefully selected by the librarian and one of our volunteers. In August, we did a pop-up sale, many textbooks and reference that did awfully. I mean, we had hardly anybody. But in October, we did a fall sale, again, outdoors in the parking lot. And that was, we did reasonably well considering. So we made over $550 in about 3-4 hours. But most importantly, people were so thrilled. A lot of our regular patrons buy, and they were so, so happy. Some of them didn't, it's not that they came to buy the books, but just to tell us how grateful they were that we were out there. Like Farmington, we cannot accept any donations right now because we don't have a community room. Their books are being quarantined. We are hoping to do a sale in sometime in the spring, April or May, of perhaps nonfiction, of which we have a lot. In addition to that, in December, we had a holiday sale, but that was indoors, and it was a very, very poor turnout, so it was kind of disappointing. But we are hoping to get our Amazon seller going, hopefully in the next few months, if we can get more volunteers to take care of some of that. Other than that, yes, it's been a tough year. We raise over $20,000 a year. This year has been just like very, very sad and disappointing.
Ashwini, you made a comment about Amazon sales. I mean, so you're also selling online. Did I catch that right?
Well, right now we're just doing textbooks through, Book Scouter and whatever vendor they are. But we have opened an Amazon seller account. We haven't actually started selling on that.
Yeah.
We need a credit card for the organization, and currently we're unable to get going on that.
Yeah, just so you know, I mean, we've been doing Amazon sales for at least 3 years now, and we've been very successful with that. So if you need to reach out, my wife runs it, and she'd be more than happy to talk with you on that.
Sure, thanks. I will. Thank you, Joseph.
Okay, Kathy, how are you doing?
The Friends of the South Windsor Library, before the pandemic, operate a book sale year round. We had Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday sales for 9 months of the year, which ultimately would be 6 shifts of people, 2 each. And then during the summer, we would have Tuesday, Saturday with 5 shifts of people. And since the pandemic, well, the library was closed, library reopened, but we have a sale room, which just did not lend itself to have groups of people in there. So I set it up to have an appointment. People called me and they had a half-hour slot to come in and shop all by themselves or with a family unit that they felt comfortable with. So we did that starting once the library reopened in July, and have done that until the beginning of December, when my volunteers became very anxious and they just did not feel like that they wanted to continue coming inside the library, so that we've shut it down again. And I hope to reopen in the spring once more people have gotten their shots and immunity seems more positive. We did have an outside sale in September, like a tag sale at a person's home, one of our volunteers' home. We sold a lot of books, but we had a lot of music CDs and movies left over. People just aren't buying those, which I think is really curious. And also audiobooks, they're just not moving. Normally we raise around $11,000 a year. And at this point, we're at this past year of 2020, we raised $3,500. So we're short $7,500, $8,000. But we have hopes for spring to have outside things.
It sounds like so many of us are all in the same boat here, just struggling to get by on whatever we can manage to do. Thank you. Denise?
Okay. As you know, Newtown is, in the very best of times, a really huge operation.
Right.
We run an annual book sale. We have an on-site offering that we call our little bookstore. We have a holiday sale. We participate in various auctions throughout the year, have income on investments. We normally donate between $105,000 and $120,000 a year to our library. And when it became clear that the state was shutting down and we couldn't have our July sale, we dipped into our reserve and we sustained our support for our library for fiscal year 2020, 2021 out of our reserves, because they were already about to start their budget year. And we felt that it would not be appropriate. I mean, that's what a reserve fund is for. Our library closed on March 16th. It was closed until September 2nd. During that period, we did not accept donations. Obviously, our little bookstore was closed, but we have off-site storage. And so we had access to our inventory that was off-site. Based on that inventory, we participated in the town farmers market once a week from July 21st through September 22nd. And we netted almost $2,500 by participating in the farmers market. That was as much to be out in the public. We ordered a banner, we got a canopy tent. All of a sudden I'm next to selling vegetables, which is not really what I anticipated my life would be, but you know what? There was a great group of people and we got to see a lot of our local townspeople who were going outside and walking their dogs, and psychologically, I can't tell you what that did for us. It was great. Our library reopened to the public in September. It is still open. We resumed accepting donations. We are accepting them twice weekly into rental pods that are in the rear parking lot. We do that on Wednesday and Saturday mornings from 10 to 12 noon. I have now got lined pants and lined boots and lined jackets and lined gloves and lined everything. It gets a little chilly. We sequester items in the pods for 5 days. And then those items are brought into the library. While we are accepting donations, we start doing our sort, in that we are a major, Discover is a major partner of ours, and some of you deal with Discover. And we are starting to make income again through Discover. Our volunteers are coming into our work areas. We have set up a processing schedule so that we can enforce social distancing. We've got masks, we got hand sanitizer, we got everything you could possibly want. Every volunteer who came back into the library was required to participate in an informational session before they got permission to go back. And we do have we're extremely fortunate. We have a very large volunteer base. And as of this point, there are about 35 people who are trained and can go on our schedule, and they are helping at the pods, because there are some people who do not want to go inside yet. Great, there's stuff to do. We resumed our little bookstore, and after talking to Linda, we decided to do the honor system as well. We also set up a PayPal account. We set up the PayPal when we went to the farmer's market. And that is being used very heavily. We have 2 cash boxes. One is right by the librarians at the circulation desk. The other is in another area that the library has allowed us to use for pop-up sales, which is in addition to our little bookstore. So we have support from our library. That cash box is tied down with picture wire so that nobody can run off with it. And that seems to be working. We did hold a holiday pop-up sale that ran from right before Thanksgiving through the end of the month of December. We, in those 2 months, brought in about $4,200. That is 60% of what we would normally earn in a holiday sale. We are currently running a children's and YA pop-up sale that will run through January 30th. And the library has given us permission to continue pop-up sales in that space. So we are now brainstorming about what we will do February. I mean, it'll be Valentine's Day, President's Day, things like that. Everything is moving satisfactorily. DVD, CDs, very slow, except for Thriller. People want to be scared even more than they're being scared by real life. And those are selling, the other stuff is not. The jigsaw puzzles are walking out on their own legs. Right. And it is astounding what is going on with jigsaw puzzles. So we will sell them. We used to have an Amazon outlet that the volunteer who ran it decided to retire. I don't know, Joe, if your wife is allowed to retire. She's your wife.
At this
She
point,
has to keep it up. Our volunteer retired, and this was in February, the pandemic hit. We have not been able to reconstitute it, though we have retained our account with Amazon. We're paying the monthly fee so that we still have the outlet should anybody step forward. Nobody is right now. It's too much work.
Denise, that's an issue for us because I mean it's a full-time job for my wife and of course I'm doing it as well. Yeah, we don't have any exit plan here. We don't have any exit strategy because
Right.
we're making quite a bit of money on it, and it's kind of tough to leave that behind and say no.
Right. And we had no choice. The woman retired. I want to say this as nicely as possible. She had not trained anyone to take over from her.
Yeah, that's one thing that we're trying to do is train other people, but
Right.
You need the dedication.
Yeah. And it's wonderful to have when you have it, but we don't have it. Fine. We are now doing some textbook sales to the vendors. Lisa Berman of Avon taught me how to do it, and I thank her for that. And, we're expecting $500 for textbooks. That's more than we had before. Mm-hmm. We have a volunteer who has his own business as a dealer, and he has been taking some of our items to online book fairs. There are book fairs that are being run by a fellow named Getman, and there are also now online auctions. We have made a little more than $1,000 on those online auctions. We're expecting a check for $2,200 on another online auction. So money is coming in, nowhere near what it would be coming in normally. We hold our annual book sale in a school. The school district has given me permission to start laying the groundwork for our July sale. That will be July 10th through the 14th. We put in the order for the tables. We put in the order for the movers. And by that time in July, it may be possible to hold the kind of sale that we would like to hold. In the meantime, our offsite storage is filling up, and that is going to be a huge problem for us. We're probably going to reach capacity February, end of March. And I don't know what we're going to do.
Thank you, Denise.
You're welcome.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but we need.
Yeah,
to-
it's more than 6 minutes. Yeah.
Yes. Joe, how are you doing?
Yeah, hi, I'm with Branford.
Right.
And you know what, I did have something prepared, but I'll just read from this set of slides here. We typically have a large book sale every fall, typically at the end of September. It's on our town green. It's under a huge circus tent, which is 130 feet by 80 feet. It's a huge tent, about 80,000 books are sold. The year before, in 2019, which is the last year we had it before the pandemic, we grossed around 65,000.
Wow.
So a significant source of revenue for us. However, it's also a huge amount of expense. If you can just kind of do the math, and you could say, okay, to rent the tent and rent all the tables and so on and rent the equipment, it requires a tremendous amount of coordination, heavy equipment to move pallets of books to the green, the whole bit. I'm sure you all know about that. However, it's a great community event for everybody. And it's a great public relations thing for the library. We have our inventory is actually stored across town in Branford. We have a warehouse that we rent, so we pay money for this space. This is where all of our collections and sorting are stored. And we're still doing collection and storing, and we suspended our collection a little bit with the pandemic, but it resumed. And it's kind of nerve-wracking because the collections have been coming fast and furious, and again, you gotta have to tamper it and taper it off. As you know, the challenges for having a book sale out on the green, you have weather and you have large expenses. So that's a large part of the equation. And I'll tell you why I'm kind of building up to these points here. And then after the tent sale itself on the green, it's a huge coordination effort to get all the books that did not sell off the green. That's where we use, and we partner with Discover Books. They're not paying us anything. So I was kind of surprised you said you're making money off of them. We don't get a penny from them. This past year in 2020, we obviously, we had to rethink our strategy. We also, we have a spring sale, which is a very small book sale that we typically had on the green. It raised about $2,000 in 2019, in the spring of 2019. We did not have it last year. It was canceled due to the pandemic. However, we did have an alternate book sale during the month of July and August last year. And what we did is we shrunk down the size of our inventory. We got rid of a lot of our books and got them to Discover. Discover was more than happy to take them from us. And we kept the best of the best. And we held our book sale at our warehouse location. We had a reduced number of topics, reduced number of categories. We had to use all the social distancing. We kept the aisles very, very wide. We limited the number of people that can shop. We had everybody, either wear gloves or hand sanitizer, mask, the whole bit. And people were they loved the fact that we held this. We held it over 5 separate weekends. We made $24,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that was our same reaction. And we hardly spent a penny. And we spent maybe a few $100s for advertising and everything. So if you look at the expense side, you look at the revenue side, this is like something, it was a little bit eye-opening for us. What we were surprised is that even though it was on the other side of town, it's not that attractive, it's not on the green, people still came and shopped. They still came. And the lines were long at times, but they were very thankful for the fact that we kept everybody separated and, we kind of worked through and kept everybody safe. Enter in one side, we exit another side, et cetera, et cetera. So that was a good experience. We were able to, recoup quite a bit of money and reduce quite a bit of our inventory. And the fact that we didn't do a lot of expense. A couple of learnings from that is we still needed a tremendous number of volunteers to run this sale. It ran over 5 different weekends. And by the 5th weekend, we saw shopper fatigue. I mean, it kind of dwindled off, even though we had different topics on these different sales. So you know, we probably wouldn't do it as much if we were to do it again in the future. So one of the things, you know, having said all this, you know, one of the things is this was kind of like an eye opener. It was a minimal expense. We made quite a bit of money. And it's probably going to make us rethink on future book sales. We do plan on having another tent sale this coming September. Hopefully we'll be able to make it happen. We plan to go through everything and spend all that money to do that. I think the town of Branford really wants to see this. So I think we have to do this, but it kind of was it made us take a pause as to, you know, do we really need to do this? Because it's a tremendous amount of effort, tremendous amount of expense and coordination and headache to make this all happen. I think we were lucky because we actually had that warehouse that it's in an industrial warehouse, so it's in a different part of town, that we were able to do this. It was kind of a mixed blessing that we were able to do this. We do not store our books at the library. We, you know, we have to store it off-prem. Again, we have like 80,000 plus books that we store. One of the other, so again, that's some of the things that we're kind of thinking through going forward, probably in 2022 or beyond, as to, you know, whether we want to continue our tent sale. Some of the other generating opportunities we have for revenue is we plan on having a spring sale again this year, but we're not going to have it on the green. We're going to have it at the warehouse. Since people now know about the warehouse, we'll have it there. We'll run it over 2 separate weekends. It was very convenient for us to set everything up. We didn't have to rush to the green, set up, move a lot of things across town. We could take our time to set things up, which was very good. So we plan to host that this May. Hopefully we can do it safely. And hopefully the state's not locked down. We have an online sales presence, like I mentioned before. My wife runs it. We use Amazon as a platform. That is a significant amount of revenue for us. As a matter of fact, our Amazon sales have not doubled, but almost tripled, okay, in sales. I mean, it has turned into our major amount of income right now for our year. I mean, it seems like everybody is doing online shopping, and we're making a significant amount of money on that. We had also in library sales, you know, we had a book cart inside the library where people can purchase books throughout the year. Since the library has closed, we had suspended those in-library sales. However, what we have done is we gotten creative and actually built a website to offer those in-library books online. And people are actually looking at it. We're calling it our virtual book cart. So if you want to look at our website, you can probably just browse through our virtual book cart. We have about 500 books out there already. The process there is you can browse through there. You can figure out which books you want. It's not too sophisticated. You have to identify the books you'd like to purchase. You have to write an email to us. We have one of our volunteers that read the email and responds. We wrap up the book and we provide it, and they do a contactless pickup where they just drop the money in a box and they walk off with their purchase. It has been going in fits and starts. We get a bunch of activity and then it dies off. And then we get another bunch of activity and it dies off. We find out that we have a lot of repeat customers because when they see it, it's kind of like a little secret that we have some really nice stuff out there that we can offer. But that's still kind of struggling to try to keep eyeballs.
Joe, I'm afraid we're going to have to cut you off. We still
Okay,
have more speakers. Sorry. Carol, why don't you go next, please?
Okay. Wallingford does not have a friends group, but we do have a wonderful library, and we have the Bookseller, which is our used bookstore. And that has been open for several years now, 6 days a week, just not Sundays, for a couple hours each day. And we would typically make between $18,000 and $20,000 a year for the library. Strictly run by volunteers. They do all the sorting and the, stocking of the books and have their shifts. But then of course the library shut down. So we were trying to think, we have all these books in the back room. What do we want to do with them? So the other lady in charge of the Bookseller with myself, we decided to go through our Bookseller store and weed out all our books and have a bag sale. And we had the bag sale the first Saturday in December. That was the day that was torrential rain and then turned to snow. And we thought, oh dear, what's going to happen with our bag sale that was outside? But we have a huge an area in the back of our library with an overhang. So we held it out there. We put 5 books, hardcover books in a bag, 8 trade books and 10 paperback books, and we labeled them like fiction, or if we had all by one author, or science fiction, or cookbooks, or whatever. And the bags were $5 each. We set them up. We had 150 bags that we bagged up. It was amazing. We had a box. It was a strictly honor system. They, was exact change only. But we were able to sit inside the library and look at what was going on. So we were pretty sure that people were not going to be running off with bags. We sold all but 10 bags and made over $700 in just that one day for 3 hours. So we're thinking maybe in the spring, if we can't reopen the bookseller, we might do that again. We're not accepting donations. We were thinking of trying to open the bookstore again in the fall. Got some of our volunteers that said they were willing to come back, but unfortunately the bookstore is kind of tight quarters, and we really would have had to limit how many patrons could be in at one time for safety reasons, etc. It's not connected to the library, so it's kind of a backdoor entrance. We wanted to start taking donations again, but knew we were going to be swamped with donations, and we don't really have a big storage area for them. So hopefully in the spring, we might be able to start accepting some donations and either have a bag sale again, or hopefully open our bookstore.
Thank you. Pat, sorry, you're last, but not
not least, they say. Well, this year, there've been a lot of changes here in West Haven. The library has been in the news almost ad nauseum because one of our branches was closed by the city. So that meant we lost the community room where we normally would be sorting the books and holding the book sale. And we also had a change of leadership here within the Friends, in addition to the pandemic. So the people who were basically running the book sale had never run it before. So we just continued doing what we had been doing in the past, which was quickly sorting the books, fiction, nonfiction. And we came to we had 2 sales. In the first one, we were just offering the books. We put them out on tables, and we did rather well with that. But then we forgot to use our fill a bag sale. So about a month and a half later, we had a second sale, fill a bag. And between those 2 sales, we raised more money than we did in the entire previous fiscal year, in any of our years.
Wow.
It was like $3,000. While we've been shut down, we weren't able to have any ongoing sales. But now that we've opened up, sometimes it was just appointments only, other times people could come in. We've been getting a small, steady stream of sales because we still have a cart in our 2 branches. But what we found was that for the book sale, what we did was we just boxed the books to get them out of the library and put them on, because we put them on 13 tables. And we must have had an area 4 feet by 6, perhaps even 6 feet, 6 feet high with boxes of books. And by the end of the sale, we could see the tops of the tables. We really didn't have any empty books, we didn't have any filled boxes, that is. And we had a steady stream of people coming into that second sale for the fill a bag. The first sale was almost a teaser. It was like the words spread throughout town. So we saw people, someone came in saying, I've got to have books. The kids have stolen my iPads. And what we had sorting, what we did was we just sorted very briefly into a box of a box of history, a box of autobiography, like that. And we had a lot of new people coming in to do the sortings. We only had like 2 or 3 people, and one of the part-timers at the library, who was a member of the Friends, worked afterwards on it because our librarian was being very, very cautious about people coming into the library. But we had gone and done a lot of other started a lot of other fundraising, and our president had been sending out emails using the Friends list, but also we were posting on our Facebook page. So the library had a lot more exposure. So we had different people showing up. That's all, thanks.
Thank you. We will be having more discussions in the future on different topics. So look on our FOCL homepage for the next topic. It'll probably be in a couple months. And just a reminder that FOCL is here to help you. Although a lot of you seem to be doing very well compared to some of our smaller groups that are really struggling. And it's good to find all the creative ways that people are using to continue their book sales. Does anyone else have any comments? We just have a few minutes left.
Before we all go, I just want to also get a screenshot of everyone so we can post it and put it on our newsletter as well. So if everyone can just give me a big smile, I'm just going to print screen this. All right, let me see if I got it. But I feel like we got a lot of good nuggets from today. And again, I am going to also be posting, got it. I am also going to be posting the sessions from the small libraries and the medium libraries on the website. And I think that, you know, a lot of you guys could take some things from them as well. So we will be in touch, but thank you all for coming.
Thank you very much for holding this.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.